The eviction notice weighs more than paper should. Lena Morales holds it in the community center that smells like cafecito and 40 years of people who won't have anywhere else to go. 47 families. Red ink stamped across the deadline like a countdown to erasure. Developer Reeves Coastal Holdings. Project Luxury Waterfront Tower. Displacement timeline 90 days. The center's fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Mrs. Delgado is crying in Spanish at the back table. Her hands shake the same way Lena's father's hands used to shake when he came home from construction sites talking about safety violations no one would fix. 15 years ago, Miguel Morales died building a tower in this city. Lena became a housing lawyer so that developers like the one who killed him would have to answer to someone who knew exactly how the system breaks people. Now she's holding proof that Reeves' coastal, billion-dollar empire, untouchable reputation, is about to erase the last neighborhood she has left. She opens the case file at her desk 3 blocks away. Reeves Coastal's CEO, Garrett Reeves. She's seen his name on philanthropy awards and Forbes profiles. Never met him. Doesn't need to. The project renderings make her stomach turn. Glass tower. Waterfront views. Starting price, $2.3 million. The exact location where her neighborhood stood when she was 17 and her father was still alive. She pulls permits, zoning applications, environmental impact reports. Finds something in the documents that shouldn't be there. Confidential development files, internal communications, budget projections marked executive review only. Someone gave her access 2 weeks ago through an encrypted file drop she thought was a whistleblower. The username embedded in the metadata, Garrett Reeves CEO. Garrett Reeves has been leaking his own company's documents to her. She doesn't know why. And here's what nobody tells you about lawyers like Lena. When you grow up watching your neighborhood get erased by people with more money than morality, you don't become a housing lawyer because you believe in the system. You become one because you know exactly how the system breaks people, and you're willing to break every rule to stop it. So when Garrett Reeves's billion-dollar waterfront project landed on her desk with 47 families about to lose their homes, she had one choice: fight dirty or watch her childhood disappear. If you want to see what happens when the lawyer fighting for the powerless goes up against the developer who has everything to lose, and they both realize they've been connected by the same tragedy for 15 years, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this story gets so much darker than either of them knows yet. Now let's get back to that hearing room. The zoning hearing is in 3 days. Lena walks into the Miami-Dade County building at 9 a.m. sharp. Fluorescent corridors, polished tile that echoes, the particular smell of government buildings, cleaning solution and decades of decisions that ruined people quietly. Hearing room C, she pushes through the double doors. Garrett Reeves is already at the developer's table. She recognizes him from the Forbes photo. 34. Expensive suit that fits like architecture, dark hair. The kind of face that photographs well because it doesn't give anything away. He's reviewing blueprints with his attorney. Lena sets her briefcase down at the opposition table. The sound cracks through the room. Garrett looks up. Their eyes meet for the first time. Something in his face shifts. Recognition, but not the kind that makes sense, not "I've seen you in court before." The kind that says, "I've been waiting for you to get here." His jaw tightens. His hands go still on the blueprints. Lena doesn't understand it yet. His attorney stands. Woman, late 40s, suit that costs more than Lena's monthly rent. She extends a hand Lena doesn't take. Vanessa Cruz, Chief Financial Officer, Reeves Coastal. Her smile is surgical. You must be Ms. Morales. I've heard so much about your work. The hearing officer calls the session to order. Garrett's presentation is flawless. Community investment, job creation, revitalization of underutilized waterfront space. The renderings rotate on a screen behind him, glass and steel and luxury that will replace the place where Lena learned to ride a bike. Lena's turn. She presents the opposition, displacement, cultural erasure, 47 families with nowhere to go. Vanessa stands before Lena finishes. Objection to Ms. Morales's, standing to represent the tenant coalition. The hearing officer looks up. On what grounds? Vanessa slides a document across to the officer. 2 weeks ago, Ms. Morales accessed confidential Reeves Coastal Development files through unauthorized means. She obtained protected documents from a source she refuses to name. If she can't explain how she acquired proprietary company information, she should be removed from this case and referred for ethics violations. Lena's supervisor is 3 rows back. She feels his eyes on her neck. Garrett is watching her from the developer's table. His face is unreadable, waiting. Vanessa's smile doesn't reach her eyes. The hearing officer leans forward. Ms. Morales, how did you obtain these files? Lena doesn't answer directly. The files came from a protected whistleblower source. I'm claiming journalistic privilege. Vanessa's voice stays calm, helpful even. Then produce the source, or the case dies here. The hearing officer gives Lena 72 hours. The session adjourns at 11:34 a.m. Lena walks to the county building bathroom, runs her hands under cold water until they stop shaking. The mirror shows someone who just lost control of a case she can't afford to lose. She leaves through the side exit. Parking garage, 3rd level, concrete and exhaust and the echo of her footsteps. More footsteps behind her. She knows before she turns around. Garrett Reeves, no attorney, no blueprints, just him in a suit that probably costs what her clients make in 6 months. His voice is careful, not aggressive, precise. I know who your source is. Lena's hand finds her car door handle. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. He pulls out his phone, shows her a screen, metadata from the files she downloaded, timestamps, login credentials, username, Garrett Reeves CEO. I'm the one who gave you those files. You didn't know it was me. I made sure you wouldn't. He slides the phone back into his pocket. But I have proof, and Vanessa will find it if she looks hard enough. Lena's back hits her car. Why would you sabotage your own project? Because I need someone who will fight it hard enough to force me to build it right. His face does something between exhaustion and resolve, and you're the only lawyer in Miami angry enough to win. You're insane. Maybe. He steps closer, not threatening, deliberate. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to take a job as my community consultant, public-facing role, salary, access to all project plans. You'll advise on affordable housing integration. And if I refuse, then I'll let Vanessa expose that you've been receiving stolen documents from the CEO himself. You get disbarred for ethics violations. I get removed for corporate sabotage. 47 families lose their lawyer, and the waterfront project proceeds exactly as my father designed it 15 years ago, with 0 affordable units and maximum profit margin. Lena stares at him. Your father. Garrett's jaw tightens in a way that looks like pain. he's been carrying for longer than this conversation. Garrett Reeves. He built this city on shortcuts and buried inspections and construction workers who died because he valued speed over safety. His voice drops. 15 years ago, he built a tower in Little Havana. The foundation collapsed, killed a man named Miguel Morales. The parking garage tilts. Miguel Morales. Her father. Garrett keeps talking like he's been waiting years to say this to someone who'd understand what it cost. I've spent every day since trying to figure out how to make that right without destroying everything he built. 600 people work for Reeves Coastal. Most of them have nothing to do with what my father did. But if I dismantle the company to expose him, they all lose their jobs. Lena can't breathe properly. If you knew who I was. I've known since you filed the opposition brief. Miguel Morales' daughter, Harvard Law on a full scholarship. Every case you've taken for the past 8 years has been against developers who cut corners. He pauses. You're not just fighting this project. You've been hunting my father for 15 years. A car engine echoes on a lower level. Garrett glances toward the sound. When he looks back, his face has shifted into something that looks like a man who just made a decision that's going to cost him everything. So here's the deal. Work with me. Help me redesign this project into something your father would have been proud to build. I'll give you access to everything, budgets, plans, my father's original contracts. Why would I help you? Because you're the only person who will fight hard enough to stop me from making the same mistakes he did, even if it means destroying us both. The car that was echoing below pulls onto their level. Vanessa's BMW. She's been following them. Garrett sees it. His voice goes urgent. 72 hours. That's how long you have to decide. Take the consultant job or we both go down and 47 families lose everything anyway. He walks to his car without waiting for an answer. Lena stands in the parking garage with her father's name in her mouth, and the son of his killer, offering her a job that might be salvation or might be the trap that finally breaks her. Vanessa's BMW idles 3 spaces away. Watching, waiting to see what Lena does next. Lena gets in her car, drives, doesn't decide. Not yet. Lena takes the job because refusing means losing everything she spent 8 years building. First day at Reeves Coastal, the lobby smells like marble and money that's never been questioned. Her ID badge says Community Consultant in letters smaller than her name, like an apology for her presence. Vanessa meets her at reception. Your office is ready. 4th floor, glass walls on 3 sides, no privacy. The sightline runs straight into Garrett's office across the hall where he's on a call she can see but can't hear. Vanessa doesn't wait to be invited in. The waterfront project plans everything you asked for. She drops a file on the desk, red tab marked confidential. Lena opens it. Site map, construction timeline, budget projections. The tower location coordinates make her hands stop working properly. Latitude 25.7617. Longitude minus 80.1918. The exact spot where her father died. She pulls the structural engineering section, foundation specs, inspector signatures, approval dates running from March 2009 through June 2009. All of them signed off 3 weeks before Miguel's death. She finds the safety inspection report, the one that should have caught the failures before the concrete was poured. Miguel Morales, certified inspector, signature dated June 12, 2009. 3 days before the foundation was poured. Physically impossible. Someone forged her father's signature and backdated the document to make it look like he approved a foundation he never saw. Vanessa is watching from the doorway. Your father signed off on those reports. Did you know that? Lena looks up. This signature is dated before the concrete was poured. Interesting observation. Vanessa crosses to the desk, doesn't sit, stands over Lena like she's reading evidence at a crime scene. Marcus Reeves didn't kill your father. Your father killed himself by forging documents to keep the project on schedule. That's not true. Garrett doesn't know this. Vanessa's voice stays surgical, careful. If he finds out his father was covering for a worker's fraud instead of causing it, it destroys everything you've been building your career to prove. She leaves without waiting for a response. Lena stares at the signature. It looks exactly like her father's handwriting, the same slant, the same loop on the M, the same way he abbreviated inspector to insp, because he said the full word took too long. She pulls out her phone to call her mother. A text arrives before she can dial. Unknown number. Don't trust Vanessa. The signature is forged. Meet me tonight. I have proof. Someone who knew your father. Lena looks across the hall. Garrett is off the phone now, staring at architectural plans spread across his desk, not the waterfront tower. Something else. Something that looks like a park. He doesn't look up. Doesn't acknowledge her presence, even though the glass walls mean he can see her as clearly as she sees him. Vanessa appears in his office, says something Lena can't hear. Garrett's face doesn't change, but his hands flatten on the desk like he's bracing against something. Lena saves the unknown number. Texts back where and when. The response comes immediately. Industrial Port, Pier 7, midnight, come alone. She deletes the thread. Looks at the forged signature one more time. Her father's handwriting. Or someone who studied it long enough to make it disappear into the original. Across the hall, Garrett finally looks up. Their eyes meet through 2 walls of glass and 15 years of fathers who failed them in different ways. He doesn't smile. Neither does she. But something passes between them that feels like recognition. Not of each other. Of the trap they're both standing in. The industrial port at midnight smells like diesel and ocean rot. Lena parks under a broken streetlight. Pier 7. Container ships stacked like metal monuments to commerce that doesn't care who it crushes. A car idles near the water, headlights off. She walks toward it. The driver's window rolls down. Man, 70, Chinese, hands shaking on the steering wheel. Victor Chen, retired inspector. His voice sounds like he's been carrying something heavy for too long. I worked the 2009 project. Lena stops 3 feet from the car. You have proof the signature was forged. Get in. She does. Victor pulls a briefcase from the back seat, opens it. Inside, a manila folder so old the edges have gone soft. He hands it to her. Miguel didn't forge anything. Marcus Reeves had his assistant forge it after your father refused to sign off on a foundation he knew would fail. Victor's hands won't stop shaking. Miguel threatened to report it to the county. Filed paperwork that morning, 8 a.m. Lena opens the folder. Her father's handwriting, real this time, she knows the difference. Engineering report, Detailed list of structural failures. Concrete mixture ratios wrong by 18%. Rebar spacing inadequate. Load-bearing calculations falsified. The final note is in her father's hand. If anything happens to me, Marcus Reeves is responsible. Dated June 15, 2009, the morning he died. The collapse happened at 11 a.m., Victor says. Only Miguel was on site. Marcus ordered the crew to a safety meeting off location, left your father alone on that tower. He pauses. It wasn't an accident, it was cleanup. Lena's vision narrows to the page. Her father knew. Filed the report. Was murdered 3 hours later. Why didn't this make it to official records? Someone buried it. I kept the only copy. Victor looks at her. 15 years I've been waiting for someone to care enough to use it. Lena drives to Reeves Coastal at 2 a.m. Her consultant badge opens the building. 4th floor, Garrett's office. Door unlocked. He's inside, alone, staring at architectural plans spread across his desk like he's been trying to solve an equation that has no answer. Plans for a park, stone markers, names engraved. 7 of them. Miguel Morales is the 3rd. Garrett looks up. I knew you'd come eventually. Lena holds up Victor's folder. Your father murdered mine. I know, his voice is steady, resigned. I've been trying to prove it for 3 years. He slides a folder across the desk, different from Victor's, thicker. Inspector bribes, safety violations, 7 deaths between 2007 and 2012. Miguel's is one of them, but I can't go public without destroying Reeves Coastal. 600 people lose their jobs if the company collapses. Lena opens his folder. Photographs, falsified reports, recorded phone calls with former inspectors who took Marcus's money and signed off on structures they never inspected. 7 names. 7 workers who died building Miami's skyline, while Marcus Reeves calculated acceptable losses. So you've been sitting on this for 3 years. I've been trying to find a way to get justice without destroying innocent people. Garrett's hands flatten on the memorial plans. The waterfront project, I've been redesigning it, affordable housing, memorial park on the site where they died. If we build it right, their families get something permanent, proof they mattered. And Marcus. I testify against him privately. DA builds a case. He goes to prison quietly. Company survives. Lena stares at the 7 names. Justice delayed is justice denied. Justice that destroys 600 families isn't justice. It's revenge with collateral damage. You're asking me to choose between my father's death and people I've never met. Garrett leans forward. I'm asking you what your father would want. His death avenged or 600 families protected. Lena doesn't have an answer. The memorial plans sit between them. 7 stones, 7 names. Miguel Morales carved in granite that will outlast both of them. Garrett says, you have 48 hours before the zoning vote. After that, the project proceeds as luxury housing and the memorial never gets built. So I need to know, are you here for justice or are you here for revenge? Lena looks at her father's name. At Garrett's face. At the trap they're both standing in where the only way out is together, and neither of them knows if the other can be trusted. I need time to think. As she leaves, drives home, doesn't sleep, Stop, because Lena just found out her father was murdered, not killed in an accident, and the man who's been trying to atone for it is the son of the murderer. Garrett's been building a case against his own father for 3 years. So here's my question. Have you ever had to choose between justice for someone you loved and protecting people who had nothing to do with the crime? Comment justice if you'd burn it all down for the truth, or protect if you try to find another way. Because what Lena chooses in the next 10 minutes is going to determine whether 600 innocent people keep their jobs or lose everything because of sins they didn't commit. Let's see what she does. Garrett spreads 3 years of investigation across his desk, like he's been waiting for someone to finally see what he's found. Photographs of falsified inspection reports, recorded phone calls with inspectors who took Marcus's money and never set foot on job sites, bank transfers coded as consulting fees that match safety approval dates perfectly. 7 names total. 7 workers dead between 2007 and 2012. Miguel Morales, 3rd on the list. But all of them have families who were told it was bad luck or human error or acceptable risk in a dangerous industry. I couldn't go to the DA, Garrett says. The moment I do, Reeves Coastal's reputation collapses. Investors pull out. The company goes bankrupt. 600 employees lose their jobs because my father valued profit over lives. He shows her the memorial design. Full architectural plans, 7 stone markers on the waterfront site, names engraved, community park, green space where luxury condos were supposed to rise. I've been redesigning the project, affordable housing, 60% below market rate, the memorial in the center where people can see it every day. His hands rest on the plans. Your father's name, permanent, visible, proof he mattered. Lena's fingers trace Miguel Morales carved into the rendering. And Marcus. I testify privately to the DA. They build a case using my evidence. He goes to prison, but quietly, no press, no public scandal. The company survives. Justice delayed is justice denied. Justice that puts 600 families on the street isn't justice. Garrett leans forward. It's revenge, and revenge doesn't care about collateral damage. Lena stares at the 7 names. What would your father want? Garrett asks. His death avenged or 600 families protected? She doesn't answer. Can't answer. Because both things are true, and choosing one means betraying the other. 48 hours, Garrett says. The zoning vote happens whether we're ready or not. After that, the project proceeds as luxury housing, and the memorial never gets built. Lena leaves. Vanessa intercepts her in the lobby. We need to talk. They go to the parking garage. Vanessa's BMW. Leather interior that smells like decisions made in private. I know about Victor Chen, Vanessa says. I've been tracking your movements since you took this position. Then you know what Marcus did. I've known for 12 years. I'm the one who's been helping Garrett investigate. Vanessa pulls out her phone, shows Lena a document. But Marcus is still on the board. He controls 40% of company shares. If Garrett builds that memorial, Marcus will know someone's been investigating him, and he'll destroy both of us. Lena reads the document, board voting structure, Marcus's shares, his veto power over major projects. So you're asking me to let the luxury tower proceed. I'm offering you access to Marcus's personal files, everything Garrett hasn't found yet, names, dates, evidence that would put him away for life. Vanessa's voice stays surgical, but only if you tank the affordable housing redesign. Let the waterfront project succeed exactly as Marcus designed it 15 years ago. He stays quiet. We stay alive. Lena looks at her. You're a prisoner. We're all prisoners. Vanessa closes the file. The question is whether you're willing to help me escape or if you'd rather watch us all burn. She drives away. Lena stands in the parking garage, holding two offers that both require betrayal. Garrett's memorial that saves jobs but delays justice. Vanessa's evidence that destroys Marcus but kills 600 livelihoods. Her phone buzzes. Text from Garrett, zoning vote is tomorrow, I need your answer. She doesn't have one. Not yet. The zoning commission chamber is full. Miami-Dade news cameras, community advocates, real estate investors in suits that cost more than the annual income of the families about to be displaced. Garrett presents the revised plan. Affordable housing, 60% below market rate, community memorial, green space, investment in the neighborhood instead of erasure of it. The renderings rotate on the screen behind him, professional, polished, the kind of presentation that wins awards for corporate responsibility. Lena testifies as community consultant. This project represents what development should be: accountability for past harm, investment in the people who built this city. Her voice is steady. She almost believes it might work. Vanessa stands. I represent concerned investors in the Reeves coastal waterfront project. I'd like to introduce evidence regarding Ms. Morales' credibility as a housing advocate. She produces a document, slides it to the commission chair. This is the original safety inspection report from 2009, signed by Miguel Morales, Ms. Morales' father. Vanessa's voice is sympathetic, surgical. The signature certifies a foundation that later collapsed, killing the inspector who approved it. This raises questions about a history of document fraud in the Morales family. The room goes silent. Lena's supervisor is in the third row. His face doesn't change, but she sees him make a note. The cameras turn toward her. Vanessa continues. I'm not suggesting Ms. Morales has engaged in similar practices. I'm simply noting that when affordable housing advocates have personal vendettas against developers, we must question whether their recommendations serve the community or serve revenge. The implication lands like concrete. Lena waits for Garrett to defend her. He sits at the developer's table, hands folded, face unreadable. He doesn't speak. The commission chair announces a vote to table the decision pending investigation into the 2009 safety report and Ms. Morales' ethics. 4 votes to 2. The gavel falls. Lena walks to the parking garage alone. Garrett follows 10 minutes later. You let her destroy me. His face looks wrecked. If I defended you, Vanessa would have introduced evidence I've been investigating my own father. The board removes me tonight. Marcus takes control tomorrow. First thing he does is fire 600 employees and sell the waterfront to investors who will build luxury condos anyway. So you chose them over me. I chose 600 families over 2 of us. His voice is raw, and I'll make that choice every time until I find a way to save everyone. Lena's phone buzzes. Text from Vanessa, I'm sorry, but Marcus knows about the investigation. He's moving against Garrett tonight. If you want to save him, meet me at the tower site. 1 hour, come alone. Lena shows Garrett the text. He reads it. Don't go, it's a trap. Or it's the only chance we have to stop him before he destroys you. Lena, you chose 600 people over me. I'm choosing you over my pride. She drives to the waterfront site. Garrett watches her taillights disappear. Doesn't follow. Not yet. The tower site at night is all foundation and future. Concrete poured where her father died. Steel framing rising where the memorial should be. Vanessa is waiting. Marcus called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. He's removing Garrett as CEO and reinstating the original luxury project. Why are you telling me this? Because I know who you really are. Vanessa pulls out a file. 15 years of employment records, different names, always construction jobs, always on Marcus Reeves projects. Lena's blood goes cold. The file has everything. Every alias, every job, every building she's worked on, gathering evidence that Marcus's structures are death traps. You've been hunting him since you were 18, Vanessa says. Systematically, professionally, and Marcus knows. He hired a private investigator 6 months ago, connected the identities, realized Miguel's daughter has been building a case for 15 years. If he knows, why hasn't he moved against me? Because you haven't used the evidence yet, but you're about to. Vanessa hands her the file. So here's your choice. Use what you've gathered to destroy Marcus tomorrow. Save Garrett's position. But the evidence will also condemn every building Marcus ever built. 14 structures. 3,000 people currently living in buildings that will be condemned. Lena opens the file. Photographs of structural cracks. Engineering reports showing load-bearing failures. Calculations proving the buildings will collapse within 5 years. 14 buildings. 3,000 people. If I go public, they get displaced. If you stay silent, they die when the buildings fail. Vanessa walks away. Leaves Lena standing on the site where her father was murdered, holding evidence that will save lives by destroying them first. Her phone rings. Garrett. She answers. Where are you? The tower site. Vanessa just told me Marcus knows everything. Silence. Then I'm coming to you. He arrives 20 minutes later. Sees the file in her hands. How long have you known the buildings would fail? Since I was 23. Why didn't you tell anyone? Because I wanted to be the one who destroyed him. Her voice breaks. Not save the people he put at risk. Garrett stares at her. At the file. At 15 years of evidence gathered for revenge instead of rescue. Show me. Lena opens the file. 14 buildings. Photographs dated across a decade. Miami Towers East. Concrete cancer spreading through load-bearing columns. Photographed 2015. Brickell Heights condominiums. Foundation settling unevenly. Stress fractures in underground parking. Photographed 2017. Riverside Apartments. Rebar corrosion visible in stairwell walls. Photographed 2019. Each one built by Marcus Reeves between 2007 and 2018. Each one currently occupied. Each one showing structural failures that will lead to catastrophic collapse within 5 years. Garrett reads through the file without speaking. Lena watches his face change as he processes what she's been carrying. You've been documenting this for 15 years. I worked every job I could get on his projects. Construction inspector, concrete specialist, structural engineer consultant, different names, different companies, always finding my way onto Marcus's sites. Why? Because I wanted proof, not just that he killed my father, that he's still killing people. Her voice is steady now, matter of fact. 3,000 people are living in buildings that are going to collapse. I've known for years, and I chose to wait until I had enough evidence to guarantee his conviction instead of evacuating them immediately. Garrett's hands flatten on the photographs. You were willing to let people die to make sure he paid. Yes. The word sits between them like a confession. Garrett looks at her, really looks at her, not the housing lawyer, not the consultant. The woman who's been weaponizing her grief for 15 years and calling it justice. Does anyone else know? Vanessa, Marcus, now you. The zoning commission. No. The DA. No. The residents living in those buildings. No. Garrett closes the file. We evacuate them tonight. That bankrupts your company. I don't care. 600 people lose their jobs. I don't care. His voice is sharp, final. 3,000 people are living in death traps, and you've been sitting on the evidence long enough to be criminally liable for negligent endangerment. So we evacuate. We call emergency management. We do it now. Lena's phone buzzes. Email notification. Subject: what your father really built. She sent it before coming to the tower site. Sent it to Garrett. Attachment: 15 years of evidence. He pulls out his phone, opens the email, sees the files. How long ago did you send this? In hours. Why? Because I knew if I showed you in person, you'd try to find another way, and there isn't one. She meets his eyes. The only way to save those 3,000 people is to destroy everything you've built. Your company, your reputation, the jobs, all of it. Okay, pause. Because Lena just revealed she spent 15 years working undercover in construction to gather evidence that Marcus Reeves's buildings are going to collapse and kill 3,000 people. She has proof. She's had it for years. And she chose revenge over saving lives. So here's what I need to know. If someone killed your father and you spent 15 years gathering evidence to destroy them, but using that evidence meant displacing thousands of innocent people, would you pull the trigger? Comment pull it if you destroy him no matter the cost, or protect if you'd find another way. Because Garrett just found out the woman he's falling for has been willing to let people die to get justice for her father. And that changes everything. Garrett makes the call. 2 a.m. Miami-Dade Emergency Management. By 6 a.m., evacuation orders are issued for 14 buildings. By noon, 3,000 people are being moved to emergency housing. By 2 p.m., Reeves coastal stock collapses. Trading suspended. Investors pulling out. The company Garrett spent 3 years trying to save is dying in real time. And somewhere in a penthouse office, Marcus Reeves is watching it happen. Watching his son destroy everything he built. Waiting to make his move. The evacuation makes national news by 8 a.m. 3,000 people leaving their homes, children crying on parents' shoulders, elderly residents in wheelchairs being moved to emergency shelters. News helicopters circling 14 buildings like vultures documenting the collapse of something that hasn't fallen yet. Reeves Coastal stock opens at $47 per share. By 10 a.m. it's $23. By noon it's $8. Trading suspended at 2 p.m. Investors pulling out. Pension funds liquidating positions. The company Garrett spent 3 years trying to save is dying in the time it takes to watch the news cycle turn over. The board calls an emergency meeting. Garrett Reeves walks into the conference room like he's been expecting this day for years. He's calm. Too calm. Sits at the head of the table even though Garrett's the CEO. Old habit, old power. The kind that doesn't care about titles when you control 40% of the shares. You used her evidence, Marcus says, not a question. Garrett doesn't answer. The buildings will be condemned, lawsuits will bankrupt us. 600 employees will be terminated by Friday. Marcus folds his hands. So here's what happens next. You recant, call it a false alarm, bring the residents back, I step down quietly, retire, you stay CEO, company survives. And if I refuse? Then I release documentation proving Lena Morales has had evidence of structural failures for 15 years and chose not to report them. Negligent endangerment, criminal charges, 3 to 5 years minimum. Garrett's jaw tightens. You're willing to destroy her to save yourself. I'm willing to destroy her to save 600 families who did nothing wrong. Marcus leans forward. You think this is about me? I'm 73. I'll be dead before any trial concludes. This is about whether you're willing to sacrifice an innocent woman to punish a guilty man who won't live long enough to serve the sentence. The conference room door opens. Lena walks in. Uninvited. Unannounced. She sets a document on the table. Whistleblower lawsuit, filed this morning, against myself. Her voice is steady. I'm admitting I had evidence of structural failures for 15 years and failed to report them. This triggers a federal investigation into every Garrett Reeves building going back 30 years. Marcus stares at her. You're willing to go to prison to destroy me. I'm willing to go to prison to make sure no one else dies the way my father did. She meets his eyes. Destroying you is just a side benefit. Garrett stands. If she goes to prison, I'm testifying I ordered her to suppress the evidence. We both go down. Vanessa stands from the far end of the table. If you both go down, I'm the one who actually suppressed it. CFO for 12 years. Evidence of structural failures crossed my desk quarterly. I ignored it. She looks at Marcus. This was my responsibility. I take the charges. The three of them stand. All claiming culpability. All willing to fall. Marcus looks at each of them in turn. Realizes what they've done. Made it impossible for him to win without destroying all three, and if he destroys them, the story goes public anyway. Media, federal investigation, congressional hearings. Everything he built exposed. Everything he buried exhumed. He stands slowly. You've made your choice. Walks out. The board meeting ends. No vote. No resolution. Just the sound of Garrett Reeves's footsteps disappearing down the hall, and the knowledge that tomorrow, federal prosecutors will be making calls. Garrett looks at Lena. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. We could have found another way. There was no other way, not one that didn't require you to sacrifice yourself to protect me. She picks up the whistleblower document. This way, the truth comes out, the investigation happens, and you don't have to be the one who destroys your father. I'm bankrupt anyway. I know. 600 people are unemployed. I know. And you're going to prison. I know. They stand in the conference room that smells like expensive furniture and decisions that ruin lives quietly. Garrett says, "Was it worth it?" Lena looks at him, at the son of the man who killed her father, at the man who just tried to take criminal charges meant for her. At 18 months of investigating and 3,000 people displaced and 600 jobs lost, and a company destroyed and 2 lives permanently altered. Ask me again when my father's killer is in prison. She walks out. Garrett stays, alone in a conference room, in a company that will be liquidated by the end of the month, wondering if justice is supposed to feel this much like losing. The federal courthouse is built from the same concrete that killed Lena's father. She notices this walking in, notices the way institutional architecture always looks like. It was designed to make you feel small. Garrett testifies first. The courtroom is full. Press, families of the 7 dead workers, Reeves coastal employees who just got termination notices in their email. He provides 3 years of evidence. Inspector bribes documented in bank transfers coded as consulting fees. Safety violations buried in falsified reports. 7 names. 7 deaths between 2007 and 2012. His voice stays steady. Every word ends his company. Every sentence makes it impossible for Reeves Coastal to survive, even if Marcus is convicted. The prosecutor asks, "Mr. Reeves, you understand that this testimony will likely result in the total collapse of your family's business?" "Yes." "And the unemployment of over 600 people?" "Yes." "Why are you doing this?" Garrett looks at the gallery, at the families, at Lena sitting in the second row. "Because 7 people died building structures that made my family wealthy, and the least I can do is tell the truth about how they died." The company's stock hits 0 during his testimony. HR sends termination notices to 600 employees before he steps down from the stand. Lena testifies second. Her lawyer advised her not to. She does anyway. "I had evidence of structural failures in 14 Marcus Reeves buildings for 15 years. I documented cracks, corrosion, foundation settling, load-bearing failures." Her voice doesn't shake. "I chose not to report them immediately because I wanted to build a comprehensive case that would guarantee his conviction rather than risk early evacuation alerting him to the investigation." The prosecutor's face changes. "You're confessing to negligent endangerment?" "Yes." "You understand you'll be charged?" "Yes." "Why are you doing this?" Lena looks at Garrett. "Because the truth matters more than my freedom." Criminal charges filed before she leaves the stand. 3 to 5 years. Minimum security if she pleads guilty. Trial if she doesn't. Vanessa testifies third. Produces the original work order from 2009. Marcus Reeves's signature, instructions to move the construction crew off-site for a mandatory safety meeting. Date, June 15, 2009. Time, 9 a.m. The same morning, Miguel Morales filed his report with the county. The same morning, the foundation collapsed. 3 hours after Miguel was left alone on an unstable tower. This wasn't negligence, Vanessa says. This was premeditated. The courtroom goes silent. The prosecutor takes the work order, examines it, looks at Marcus Reeves sitting at the defense table. We're amending charges. 7 counts of negligent homicide, 1 count of first-degree murder. Marcus is arrested in the courtroom. Handcuffs. Bail denied. Garrett watches his father led away. Doesn't look away. Doesn't flinch. Just watches until Marcus disappears through the door that leads to holding cells and federal detention, and the rest of a life spent paying for deaths he caused. Outside the courthouse, Lena's lawyer approaches. Plea deal, 2 years minimum security, out in 18 months with good behavior. Garrett is standing 10 feet away. Hears it. Walks over. Don't take it. Let me testify I knew about the evidence and ordered you to wait. I'll take the charges. Lena looks at him. At the man who just destroyed his company to tell the truth. At the son who just sent his father to prison for life. At 18 months in minimum security versus watching Garrett go to prison for crimes he didn't commit. You've already sacrificed enough. She turns to her lawyer. I'll take the deal. Garrett's face does something that looks like grief and relief happening simultaneously. Lena, your father got justice. 600 people lost their jobs. 3,000 people were displaced. I'm going to prison for 2 years. Her voice is calm, final. This is what accountability costs. We don't get to choose the price after we've already bought it. She walks away. Garrett stands outside a federal courthouse, watching the woman who destroyed everything to get justice for her father disappear into a car that will take her to processing and sentencing, and 18 months of paying for choosing revenge over rescue. He doesn't follow. Doesn't try to stop her. Just stands there wondering if this is what winning is supposed to feel like. Stop because Lena just accepted a plea deal that sends her to prison for 2 years while Garrett's bankrupt and 600 people are unemployed. Marcus is going to prison for life. Justice happened, and it destroyed everyone who fought for it. So here's my question, was it worth it? Comment worth it if justice matters more than the cost, or not worth it if you think they should have found another way. Because what happens in the next chapter is going to determine whether the destruction they caused can ever build something new, or if some wounds cost too much to heal. 18 months looks different from the outside. Lena walks out of minimum security on a Tuesday morning, with Vanessa waiting in the parking lot. Not Garrett. She doesn't ask why. They drive to the waterfront in silence. The memorial park is finished. 7 stone markers, names engraved, Miguel Morales III from the left, community park surrounding it, green space where luxury condos were supposed to rise. Children playing on grass that grows over the foundation where her father died. Families using picnic tables made from reclaimed wood. The exact site that was supposed to displace 47 families is now the place those families gather. Garrett is there, standing in front of her father's stone. Maintenance tools in a bucket beside him, dirt under his fingernails. Looking like he's been coming here every week for 18 months doing the work no one asked him to do. He sees her. Doesn't smile. Neither does she. You've been maintaining it, Lena says. Someone had to. Vanessa could have hired. I wanted to. He sets down the tools. Your father's name deserves better than a grounds crew that doesn't know who he was. They stand in front of the memorial. 7 names. 7 families who got justice. 600 employees who got severance packages, funded by Garrett liquidating everything his father built. 3,000 people who got displaced and then relocated to affordable housing built from the ruins of condemned buildings. Vanessa runs the fund now: job training, relocation assistance, small business loans. Garrett lost his company. Lena lost her law license. But the memorial stands. And the families who were supposed to disappear are still here. "I'm moving to Detroit," Garrett says. Lena's chest tightens. "When?" "Next month. There's a neighborhood facing the same displacement. I'm going to try to do it right this time." Affordable housing from the start. From the start, he looks at her. "Come with me, not as a lawyer, as a partner. We'll build what we both should have built 15 years ago." Lena looks at her father's name. At the son of the man who killed him, offering to build a future together. At 18 months of separation and 2 years of prison, and 600 jobs lost, and a company destroyed. At the cost of justice carved in stone. Ask me again when we've both built something that lasts. And this is it. This is the moment. Garrett just asked Lena to leave Miami and build affordable housing with him in Detroit. They destroyed his company, sent his father to prison, displaced 3,000 people, and she served 18 months for it. Now he's offering her a future where they build together. But she's asking him to wait until they've proven they can build something that lasts. So here's the question I can't stop thinking about. If you fought for justice and it cost you everything, your career, your freedom, the person you might have loved, would you do it again? Would you keep building? Or would you walk away and let someone else fight the next battle? Comment build if you'd keep going, or walk if you'd be done. Because what Lena chooses is going to define whether destruction can ever become creation. Here's what she does. Garrett nods. "How long?" "I don't know. Maybe when the first building in Detroit opens. Maybe when I can look at you and not see everything it cost us to get here. And if that never happens, then we're both going to spend the rest of our lives building affordable housing in cities that need it, wondering if we're atoning or just running from what we destroyed." She walks away. Garrett watches her leave. Doesn't follow. Vanessa finds him at the memorial later. "Are you going to Detroit?" "Yes." "Is she coming?" "Not yet, maybe not ever." He picks up the maintenance tools. "But I'm going anyway." "Why?" "Because she's right. We need to build something that lasts, even if we never build it together." He gets in his car. Drives north. Toward Detroit. Toward neighborhoods that need what Miami just learned the hard way. Lena becomes the memorial director. Maintains the space. Keeps her father's story alive. They email once a month. Garrett sends updates on Detroit projects. First building breaks ground. Affordable units filling before construction finishes. Community investment instead of displacement. Lena sends photos of Miami families using the park. Children learning to ride bikes where Lena Morales died. Elderly residents playing dominoes under trees planted in memory of workers whose names most people never knew. No personal words. Just work. Just penance. Just two people who destroyed everything they touched, trying to build something new from the rubble. The story isn't over. It's just beginning differently than either of them planned. Because sometimes justice costs everything. And sometimes everything is exactly the price required. The memorial stands. The work continues. And somewhere between Miami and Detroit, Two people who loved each other enough to destroy the world are learning whether they can love each other enough to rebuild it. One building at a time. 1 month at a time. One email at a time. Until the day when "ask me again" finally becomes yes. Or doesn't. Either way, the work matters more than the answer. And that, maybe, is the point.